Teachers, when did the annoying student get karma? Story 1. I have a ton of stories, but this is the only one that made me laugh. Cause I'm a horrible person. I had a 5th grader who looked like a white version of Cleveland Brown Jr., right down to the hanging cheeks and no neck. This kid was a know-it-all menace. He would interrupt me, do that weird Rihanna hand twirl, and say, "Well, actually, miss," and then state some random fact that was often wrong or irrelevant. Well, eventually, while on lunch duty, I see that his lunch every day is a can of soda, a bag of chips, and tons of candy. Like the bag is busting at the seams. I alerted the principal because I was worried that his grandmother, who was raising him, wasn't feeding him properly. The principal calls the grandma, and the grandma gets angry. She was letting him pack his own lunch and wasn't checking it, so she's embarrassed that we've called her on it. She tells us that she will only pack healthy food now, and then tells us that the kid's doctor said he needs a serious diet. She tells us that he cannot have any candy. Cut to a week later, the kid is still behaving badly and makes another student angry. The student runs to the principal and says that the kid has been sneaking candy to school every day. The principal goes to talk to him. The kid shoves a chocolate bar into his mouth, and the principal takes away the blow pop he has. This kid proceeds to roll around on his belly across the entire hallway, screeching and crying so hard that he is choking on the half-chewed chocolate bar. Chocolate, spittle, and tears everywhere. A kindergarten student walks by and says, "You look like a baby." The kid stops swallowing long enough to punch the little student. He got suspended for that, and I got a peaceful classroom. Story 2. 1st grade here. Had a boy that would not stop hitting kids with basketballs. He'd run up and pop the ball right at students. Sometimes he would toss it real fast and say catch, but most often, he would just throw it at children on the playground who were completely unaware. This kid seemed like he was trying to knock other children down. He would laugh if he saw someone stumbled or fell after they were hit by his basketball. After talking with his parents, we told them we'd be taking the balls away from him until after spring break to see if his behavior improved. As promised, he was allowed to play basketball again after the break, but we warned him he better behave. It didn't take even 5 minutes before he stalked and shot a spalling special at this poor little girl, knocking her down. She cried and pointed at him, mulch dangling from her hair. "He's mean, Miss Misty." I agreed and told her he would have the basketballs taken away for the rest of the school year. As I got up and walked his way, he started to bolt. He ran out of the playground, past the sandpit, and onto the basketball court. He maintained eye contact with me, and before I could take another step, a stray ball from a 5th grade game hit the edge of the backboard, bounced off and hit him square in the face. He went down like a sack of potatoes. Of course, I ran over to him and made sure he was okay. He may still be acting badly, but he's still just a child. I called for the nurse since he was out cold. He woke up with me above him and started crying, saying he'd never do it again. "Please, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I won't do it again." I'll have to wait and see this coming year if karma taught him a lesson or not, because he didn't want to pick up another basketball for the rest of the school year. Story 3. I coached middle school football. Some kids have come out of their shells by then. Others have not. But at least most of the early bloomers were arrogant enough to make life difficult for everybody. The team's starting halfback was one of those guys. He gave a defensive lineman a difficult time, and since everybody thought he was cool, they joined him. The D lineman was a big guy but not aggressive or outgoing, still just in his shell. He did fine out there because he was a big guy but hardly played to his potential. The little running backs took their Napoleon complexes out on the big guy by running by him and shouting "Puh" Every time he failed to stop them, rather than fight back to make the play, he would just ignore it and line up and try again the next play. One day, the whole thing just clicked for the big guy, and he started making plays. He learned to get off his blockers from tackle and attack the ball carrier. It was a cool thing to see. He loved it. When he started getting into a groove, I started running the halfback right at the blooming D lineman and watched him plant that guy in the ground with a thud every time. It was just getting easier as I made sure they ran the same play at him play after play. Soon, bruised and beaten, the halfback asked, "How many times are you going to run this play?" And I responded, "Once for every." Story 4. I interned in a class with this kid who always thought he was smarter than everyone else. He was pretty smart, but not by much. He always got paired with kids not as smart as him, so he would always be smug when dealing with them. We learned he got that from his parents. During a parent-teacher conference, his parents praised that boy up and down and thought he was the smartest kid in the school. They built him up as that, and they got him thinking that too. Then they went off to my mentor teacher. She wasn't providing him with higher enough education. She was bringing him down. She was terrible. The conference ended when my mentor teacher left the room crying after the verbal lashing. Well, about a week later, there was an event where parents came to watch their children in class. It was to watch them do math games with other students. Well, my mentor teacher paired this smug little bastard with the actual smartest kid in class, the one who was working on more advanced classes after school. The kid got shamed. His parents were so flustered during the event. They were very visibly nervous and upset, looking as this kid got destroyed game after game. They left before it was all done and took him out of school for the rest of the day. Story 5. Have another one. We had these two kids, a brother-sister combo, with fabulous names. Let's call them Princess and Major. Actually not bad kids, just a little lazy. But the parents were the laziest people I ever met. Did anything to not work. Just sit around and exist. I'm surprised they had the motivation to procreate. Twice. Anyway, there was always some excuse for why homework wasn't done. And this was 4th grade, inner city, so homework was very easy. Like reading a little booklet to your folks or practicing multiplication facts. The kid also missed school all the time. The kids were honest. Mommy didn't want to wake up to get us ready for the bus. Daddy was up late with his friends. So we report them to truancy. They turn around and find some lawyer to sue the school for their kids' underachievement. If the teachers were doing their jobs, those precious children would be pre-med students by now. Luckily, we kept really good records. The lawyer shows up, the principal, superintendent, truancy officer, and our lawyer. Their lawyer starts in. Our principal breaks in and holds up his hand. Asks the truancy officer, "How many days have these children missed?" Ends up they had missed enough days in the last 3 years to equate to more than 1 year of school. Principal says, "Now ma'am, sir, how are we supposed to deliver a quality education to your children if you don't get them to school?" Their lawyer quietly packed up her stuff and left. Story 6. Had a kid who was a real pain in the neck when I taught 5th. This kid, let's call him Ray, had one of those moms who refused to hold him accountable for anything. It was always some other kid who did it. Ray was just protecting himself. Ray just wanted to fit in, and Ray was being targeted. Also, she was one of those moms who would ask Ray if he were guilty, and take his no as an incontestable truth. She would say, "My son doesn't lie to me." "Oh, really? Your kid doesn't lie. Your kid and Jesus. All kids lie. Anyway, I had a full caseload as a special ed teacher, so I got a paraprofessional. Call him Steve. Ray hated Steve. Had some kind of issue with male authority figures. One day, Ray gets in trouble coming back from recess. Steve reprimanded him. Verbally. By the time Ray makes it to the classroom, he's saying how Steve got in his face and shouted at him. Nope. He asks to talk to the principal. Yay! Ray's gone for at least 5 minutes. Tells the principal how Steve grabbed his arm. When Mom comes and gets him, he's saying Steve pushed him. The next day we get a phone call. Ray's mom and grandma are coming in and want a meeting with Steve and the principal to discuss how Steve choked Ray. Steve's freaking out. Other kids were there, but no adults, no cameras. How can he prove his innocence? I tell him, go to the meeting and before anybody says anything, have Ray share what happened. Steve came back smiling. As soon as one story came out, everybody else is disagreeing. Well, Ray told me, but Ray told me. I would have loved to see the mom's face as her kid is proven a liar in front of everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and activate the bell button to receive notifications to my latest videos.